because now we combined.
And this was still Sitam?
No, now we moved to, now Sitam current, the last day was 2012. Because in between there, Winners Chapel were finishing the construction.
Yes, I remember that Winners one.
Now, there's a story there, I'm telling you. 2012, something happens in my life. The year 2012. I have my music, my album.
Wait, are we going? Wait. Let's do this. Okay, after this we'll talk about your album.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
After this, let's talk about.
So I have my album that is already out with my band Kaberia and the Clan, my wonderful peeps. It's out. It's been duplicated. It's on sale, and my brother-in-law happens to be going for a meeting in Addis Ababa in 2012. And he tells me, let me carry some CDs. Just pick. He picks up, I don't know, like 35 CDs and goes. Wherever you're going, Addis Ababa, he's got relatives there and so on. He comes back. Now, the church is going to, remember I talked about, remember I told you about Johnny Almeida, the brother to Jaime, who had an accident. So Johnny's the late Johnny, the younger brother Benji, goes to that church. Jaime is here in Kenya, but Benji goes to that church. It's called MPESA International Church.
MPESA, yes.
So now my brother-in-law Moriah, he's going to this church and to attend some meetings and so on. Then he comes back and tells me, man, I couldn't even sell your album. They loved it and I just gave it out as gifts. I said, it's fine, God bless you, nice heart, fine. Then he tells me, but you need to meet these guys. I talked to Dave, their team leader, and he really wants to meet you and so on. In fact, let me call him right now. You know, Moriah is a very interesting guy. He can be telling you a story like this and then you don't know how big the story is. And then he gives me the phone and I connect with Dave. It's like, man, I've loved the music and I'm happy to get to know you. We're just in the middle of preparing this conference in the next 2 weeks, man. Pray with us.
The one in January that they always have.
Yes, so pray with us. So then he tells me, what I really was interested in is that a puzzle has added up when I heard your music. I've not met you, but then I'm having a worship conference in May, and I want Israel Hotham to come. We've contacted him to come and we run this event together in May. I'm like, oh, that would be wonderful, it would be great. Then as we're winding up, he says, but it also, after we have done with Africa Arise, which is happening in 2 weeks, that's the name of the conference, Africa Arise conference, the next 2 weeks, this is in January.
Yep.
When they're done with that, and then he just keeps saying, man, I would love for you to come, but anyway, I know it's short notice, but we'll talk, after it's done, we'll talk about May. Cheers, nice to talk to you, nice to meet you on phone. It is. The next day, I receive an email from somebody who is part of MPESA, and says that, hello, Mr. Kaberia, we'd like to know your itinerary for your coming to MPESA for Africa Rise. I'm like, Dave was telling me about it in 2 weeks. It's happening in 2 weeks, and then I'm getting an email about it. So we back and forth, and then I called Dave. I said, Dave, I didn't say I was coming for. I said, man, it would be nice to have you. So what are you saying? It's nice for me to come. What are you saying? I can even try get a ticket. That's when I realized these guys were serious about me going for Africa, right? So I'm thinking, okay, to cut the story short, I told him that I can only make it one day because I've got exam students I'm preparing. He told me, you come and share. I'm running a workshop on that particular day, come and share. But man, coming on one day, reconsider staying. Because he said, because I'd love for you to meet the people, and also we have a heads of state meeting.
Yep.
It's not occurring to me. I'm thinking it's one of those churches that, we have titles nowadays. You can call someone, mom, dad, no pun intended to any church. So I'm hearing head of state. I'm thinking, okay, maybe it could be, maybe their church structure is state. I'm just... So I work out. I realize it's so desperate for me to go. I change my schedule and say I'm going to stay and go. I go to Addis Ababa.
Dude, on you.
I didn't even speak for 5 minutes. Uche Agu, Pastor Uche. Oh, my God is good. Oh, he spoke for a whole 2 hours in this workshop. we were just told, okay, before we wind up, Kaberia is here. I'm thinking I flew all this way for 5 minutes, but anyway, Uche has had his moment. So we are there, then we finish. Man, I connected to Dave so divinely. Dave is a wonderful guy who grew up in the US. He starts telling me about his connections with Israel Houghton. He knows them. He's even opened for Fred Hammond. When you meet him, you can't believe. He's the head of the worship team. And I'm here with Uche and we're just going to eat fish together with Uche. I'm thinking, what's just happening? To cut the story short, on Sunday, the last day of the conference, a select group of about 200 people go to the Africa Union headquarters.
Exactly, the AU.
Yeah, to go for
prayer
breakfast, praying for the presidents of Africa who are gathering for the AU summit before they start the meeting. That's when it hit me. This is what heads of state, oh my goodness. Heads of state means presidents of Africa, and we were there. And the president of Benin came, he shared the scripture, prayed in French, with the retired president of Obasanjo in the same room.
In fact, he's the patron.
He's a patron, yes.
He's a patron.
I can see you're familiar with it. Have you been there yourself?
I have.
Yeah, so we were there, and I'm just flustered. I'm like, what's going on here? I'm meeting Bishop Bismarck. I've just heard of him. I'm thinking, what? We're interacting. Now I'm in the clique of the few who can go. I'm seeing the visionary of Africa rise, Bishop Peter Mengistu. I'm meeting his son, Pastor Z. We became now very good friends. Then when we go back to church after the breakfast, I started asking the Lord, what happened? What just happened? With Dr. Pitt?
What was I doing around all this?
Dr. Pitt. So me, I've come, this tourist, I've got this camera, I've come to Addis for the first time. I stand up now. Abba Mengistu, we call him Abba, the founder, and he says, I think we should just celebrate what God has done. Before Bishop Bismarck speaks, why don't we call Brother Uche come and just lead us in worship? Uche goes up. That time we become friends, so even saying, go, can I hold your jacket? We're having these jokes and having a good time. And he starts, and then I think, I just say, let me stand up and take pictures anyway. I stand up to take a picture. Noise reduction in a movie, where you're watching a movie and then there's this moment that goes,
yeah.
That happened to me. I got to a very quiet space. Then I found myself standing in a different place that did not have any defined place where I was standing, but I could see and I felt myself, I am here, I can see my hands. And then I heard a voice speak from my right ear, starting with my son. Oh my goodness. So it's my son, I love you, and I want you to have impact in Africa. I want to show you things. Said some other words, I can't exactly remember, but I want to show you. And then I started literally now walking in front of each and every person that was there. I stood in front of Bishop Banda from Zambia, and the voice kept telling me what he has been able to do through Bishop Banda. Then I went and stood in front of Bishop Bismarck, and the voice is telling me what he's been able to do with Bishop Bismarck, and this is what I wanted to learn from him. Then from there I went to another space where there was a field that looked like green wheat that is growing, but very pure, no dust, nothing. Then there's a horizon of a green greenery hills, but the rest, there's no clouds, there's no sky, it was just whiteness. Then there's a hand holding me, made of light. We were just walking, not saying anything. That episode felt like a whole football match, because I know how long it takes when I sit to watch a football
90 minutes.
and then after that, the noise came back. I was back in the room.
What?
I had stood to take
a photo.
I've not shared this much with people. Today, I'm sharing it on camera. Take a photo. And I think Uche was singing either My God is Good or another one. All I know is when the noise came back, and I was back in the room and back to my senses, he was still singing the same phrase.
What?
that he was singing, and I was still about to click. I clicked. I took the picture. Because of how shaken I was, I went and just sat down, pretended that I'm looking at what I've taken. But I was in disbelief about what had just happened. Dr. Pete is sitting here. He's decided I even let him sit. Guys have been jumping. He just said, let me sit. And Pete taps me and asks me, are you okay? So I go into defensive mode. In my head, I'm thinking, what did you see? Why are you asking whether I'm okay? What's wrong with you? Leave me alone. You know, in my head, that's what I'm thinking. And I told him, yeah, I'm fine. And that's it. From then on, I was very reflective, very quiet. Back to the airport, back home, very quiet. When I get home, people around me notice I'm quiet. Me, I don't know I'm quiet. This is 2012. I would leave my Bible in the sitting room. And then sometimes I wouldn't sleep. I go downstairs and just open it. And when I open the Bible, I just start reading things. And they come to me so fresh like never before. I would be at home sometimes and I just feel like there's someone sitting next to me. And there's nobody. But I can feel there's someone sitting next to me. I'm like, what's going on? All of a sudden, in a span of like 3 months, I start getting calls. Hope FM calls me. Tessie Cavan of Hope FM. Now she's Tessie Mrs. Malak, my friends. At that time she was working there. She calls me and tells me, I would like for you to do a series. Before that, before she called me, I've got a friend called Ken Kedenji. Ken Kedenji is in Nakuru. He's a blind gentleman. We've known each other for years. Ken sings together with Ruben Kigame. Ken that time is in Nakuru. And he's working for a church called the AGC Lakeview Church. And before he calls me, one of those nights when I couldn't sleep, I went down and started writing. Now, note, the only thing I've written since composition in high school is songs. Know what I mean? Songs.
Yeah.
I've not had time where I write and download stuff, but I started writing. I felt like I needed to write something. I started writing something called The Heart of Worship. 4 parts of David's story. 4. The Heart of David, from Goliath's time to Bathsheba's time to the Psalms he was writing. And I wrote it down. I finished. The next day, Ken calls me. Hey, Ken, what's up? Tells me, I would like for you to come and do a workshop in my church in AGC. And I'm titling that workshop, Heart of Worship. Tell me, what did you say? Heart of Worship. I said, I will come. Then the next day, come with your band and we lead worship. As I'm preparing for that workshop, now I'm wondering, I've not even done a workshop. We have just been teaching choirs here in Afleo and all that stuff. Not done a workshop on training. Now all of a sudden, the music things that I used to talk about. Remember what I told you about East? I used to talk about music. Yeah. Now I'm talking about the spirit behind it. I'm opening the Bible. It's words are coming. You know, these things you see in movies, the words are just coming out like this. It's like, what happened to me in Ethiopia? Then I go and do the talk. As I'm preparing to do a talk in Nakuru, Tessie calls me and tells me, I would like for you to come for a month in Hope FM and we talk about worship. Then she gives me the dates, Tuesday nights. Now, one of the nights, John Lisu was coming for a tour and I was hosting him. That year I had 5 Tuesdays in the month of May. I told her this particular week I'm not available. So how many Tuesdays are left? 4. How many parts of my teachings are there? 4. I told her, I'll come. That's what happened. I started doing talk shows and radio. One of them, I started talking about the weaknesses that David had. As we're talking like that, I mean, it's just Tessie and I in the studio. Her computer starts hanging, saying that people are SMSing. 150 SMSs saying, you're speaking to me. I'm getting healing right now. A guy wrote there and said, I want to tell you the truth. I've just come from buying a pornographic movie. And I'm listening to you and I've gone to return it. I'm a Christian. Someone would say, I'm a worship leader. But after leading worship, I get so empty. I go and hang out with my married boyfriend. Things that we were getting. And we were like, wow. That's when I knew something had happened. This is the beginning of 2012. In the middle of that, I meet a gentleman. Meanwhile, Life Ministry is a ministry that does campus crusade and campus ministries. They have this conference that they do after a certain number of years that I've been involved in called Pamoja Africa, bringing students together from African countries. I had written for them an anthem in 2007 when they did the first Pamoja. Now they were doing another conference in 2012 in Nigeria. So they said, please bring that man who wrote the anthem, and now they wanted to make sure that anthem is official and so on, with even a French translation. So I introduced them to my brother Romeo, a producer that I'll talk about, and he recorded the song, and they said, why don't you come yourself and be there as our main worship leader? They paid for my going. But then I said, being December, I need to come with my family. In between there's a man I met.
Your story is killing me.
There's a man I met in 2012 that I'd never met before. He's a prophet. He operates in the prophetic. He just came for that season in my life. And he's from Nigeria. And I was just telling him, December I'm actually coming. He tells me, I would love for you. He came even for our flower meeting. He told me, I would love for you to join me at the Experience in Nigeria. The Experience is an event, the largest music event that happens every end of the year. Then I said, I'm actually going to be in Nigeria and so on. And we said, when you're there, call me, because we go to Experience and also probably then go to my local state and we do some things. Like, okay. So then he asked me, what are you doing here? What do you mean you're going to be in Nigeria? I told him I'm going to this conference and hopefully going with my family. He says, I'm going to pay for your family to go.
What?
So we go for 2 weeks. So look, this thing has happened. This encounter I've had has happened in January. I've ministered and preached and led worship for years, telling people that the Lord is saying this, but I never heard God's voice. I hear audibly, like a man is speaking to me. I can't even tell you the tone. It's just a tone I cannot explain. And then, all of a sudden, I'm in radio talking about worship. All of a sudden, I'm writing things on a paper. All of a sudden, there's this man who comes. And now he's paying for me. I don't know him, but he's paying for the family to go to Nigeria for 2 weeks for Pamoja conference. The funny thing is that those meetings he wanted me to do, including Experience, never happened. We didn't even meet.
What?
Where is Pamoja being held? It's being held in Covenant University. Covenant University is inside a gated community called Kenyan land, which is owned by Winners Chapel. 5,000 acres, gated community, which has the largest tabernacle that time, the Winners Chapel. When we are there, God performs a miracle. The organizers,
another miracle.
Yes, over there. The people who, the Faith Tabernacle people, the church sits 50,000 people. Pastor Bishop Oedepo's church, Winners Chapel. They say that they don't want any activity on the 31st December of 2012, the crossing over. It's a big deal in Nigeria. They say that all activities, the rule is that all activities in Kenyan land are stopped so that everybody is in for that service. So they organize with the conference organizers, Pamoja, which had about 3,000 people from different countries. They say, come for the service. And then they say, we're going to extend an invitation to you. Organize a song, and on that night you're going to sing. I was the music director and the anthem writer for Pamoja. So they come to me, the organizers, the leaders of Life Ministry Africa, where they come and the director tells me, organize a song, prepare a choir, we're singing tonight. We go for the service at Faith Tabernacle Church in the main church. 50,000 seater, 50, for real, 50, 1, 2, 3, 4, 50,000. The choir, where the choir sits is 1,200 people, because the choir is 1,200 members. I mean, that night was explosive. Worship and the word and prayer, and I was like, this is real Nigeria, man. Then we get a chance to sing. Most of the young people in that choir, the students, the campus students, most of them have dreamt since they were kids to be in that tabernacle. They couldn't believe they were singing there. The leader the leader of the choir, who was supposed to do the introduction of the song, did not come. So I'm there, it feels like an awkward moment. So I pick the microphone and introduce. I salute Bishop Oedepo. I salute all the 50,000 people there. And the others, 54 countries are watching. And say the song we're going to sing. We sing. Fast forward. We come back to Kenya. We have seen Winners Chapel being built.
Yes.
And
oh man, I see where this is going.
I take Reverend Tom. I take Reverend Tom and say, let's go and look for the pastor and talk to them and just introduce ourselves. So Reverend Tom and I, we just say we're going, and our friend Charity, who was part of our leadership and part of the office, and we go to Winners Chapel at Adams Arcade, and we meet the pastor. We enter his office, and the first thing he tells me, I've seen you somewhere. I'm like, okay, I don't know. Then we talk. Then in our conversation, I mentioned Faith Tabernacle, and I've been there. He says, that's where I've seen you. Last December, you were singing and introduced the group that you're singing with. So what do you want? Tell him.
This event that we do a flare in
we'd like to do an event in your building. He didn't even ask what event it is. Just said, that's fine.